What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. Let's talk about a $1,400 to $2,000 stimulus check here for the country for low income on a federal level for Social Security, for SSI, SSDI, VA, RRB, survivors, everybody in our Social Security umbrella, everybody on low income on the federal level here. We know right now, if you've been watching my channel, that 32, maybe a little bit more at this point, but at least 32 different states have passed stimulus checks, tax rebate checks, property tax rebate checks, etc. on the states level. There's at least 32 states that are passing, have already passed state stimulus checks, and a lot of them are coming out here in the next few weeks. Okay, if you've been watching my channel, there's several coming out here still, but 32 states have already passed them. Several dozens of them have already gone out here. But let's talk about on the federal level. Okay, what could we see here before the midterm elections? Okay, we do know here that 43 million Americans are getting $10,000 to $20,000 of student loan forgiveness, which is basically a stimulus program. It's not a stimulus check per se, but it kind of is. It's $10,000 to $20,000 of debt wiped off your student loans for 43 million Americans. That was literally just passed via executive order last month, and that is going to be rolled out here in the next few days, actually, with the applications. It's already passed, so as long as the Republicans don't challenge that in a court of law, that's for 43 million Americans, $10,000 to $20,000. That's a massive stimulus program. Okay. Also, here in the next few days, there's going to be a massive SNAP conference for SNAP food stamps, and that is going to affect 40 million Americans as well. So you can see here, there's a lot of still stimulus type programs, because that would be for over 40 million Americans as well, that could raise food stamps and for food stamps, the SNAP program as well. That's over 80 million Americans, and when you add in the 32 states that has passed out stimulus checks, tax rebate checks, property tax rebate checks, that's probably another 100 million. Okay. And there's a lot of people that are saying, let's get another stimulus check on the federal level as well. Now, the midterms are like pretty close here, pretty close here. So I don't know if they could do it here before the midterms. It'd be pretty close to, they'd have to either do it through a reconciliation process or through an executive order. Okay, because we know here previously that here former President Donald Trump did an executive order back in 2020 for $300 per week for millions of people, and sent out these checks for, it was $300 per week for 6 weeks, so $1,800 in total. States added in an extra $100 for a total of $2,400. So it was $1,800 to $2,400. Went out to millions of people. He did this through an executive order back in 2020, right before the 2020 election. And he did this with money that was already approved by Congress. And again, it's a similar situation here. Right before an election, with an executive order and money that was already approved by Congress. Okay. Now, the student loan forgiveness is kind of similar. Biden did an executive order for $10,000 in student loan debt relief. And in fact, for people with Pell Grants, the lowest income Americans got up to $20,000. Elizabeth Warren calls it one of the greatest, or one of the biggest acts of consumer debt relief in American history. I also think that going forward, we could see other types of consumer debt relief as well for people who didn't get the student loan debt relief. Will we see possible credit card debt relief? Will we see possible mortgage debt relief? Will we see medical debt relief? Will we see other types of debt relief in the future? It is a very real possibility. In fact, if we actually look back in the past, I literally can show you dozens and dozens and dozens of articles throughout the years. This is from 2019. It says it was updated here, but this is from 2019. Student loan forgiveness will never happen. The insidious reasons why this plan is dead on arrival. People used to think that this was a joke. That student loan forgiveness would never happen. It was a fairy tale. And guess what? Now it's been passed through executive order for $10,000 to $20,000 for 43 million Americans. And in fact, don't forget here that this is right here from Forbes. The Biden administration has already approved $32 billion in student loan forgiveness. Besides that, these were for people who have permanent disabilities, people who their schools closed on them and just the schools just closed, went out of business and just left them with the bill, or schools that defrauded them and basically promised them that they would get jobs and they didn't, promised them the world and they didn't get it. And millions of students, I don't know the exact amount here, basically got their loans forgiven. Okay, $32 billion worth. This has been happening over the past like 2 years. Okay, if you've been watching my channel, I've been keeping you up to date here on that. This really happened before the $10,000 to $20,000 for the 43 million people as well. Okay, so if you have a permanent disability, go to studentaid.gov, or if your school closed on you, your school defrauded you, you might be eligible actually for full student loan forgiveness as well. Okay. So that really kind of makes us wonder, will we see other types of debt forgiveness in the future? It's a very real possibility. Remember, student loan forgiveness was a complete joke in the past. People thought it would never happen. People thought, yeah, right. It's just this was a complete fairy tale. Well, guess what? $32 billion has already happened here in the past 2 years of complete student loan forgiveness. Now there's $10,000 to $20,000 of student loan forgiveness for 43 million Americans. That's going to happen for 20 million Americans. It's going to completely wipe out their debt because they have $10,000 or $20,000 of debt or less, and it's just going to wipe their debt down to zero. Okay. Will we see other types of debt like medical debt forgiveness, credit card debt forgiveness, mortgage debt forgiveness, other type of debt forgiveness like that for people who maybe didn't get the student loan forgiveness? That's a very real possibility as well. Don't forget that we got 3 stimulus checks already, unemployment bonus checks, mortgage assistance, rent assistance, utility assistance, all these paycheck protection program, all these different types of, we've had SNAP raises for over 40 million Americans. We have all these different type of pandemic assistance and really a lot of programs that are going to be going on after the pandemic, if the pandemic actually ever ends, which the White House at one point said that this virus is going to be with us here forever. So, what do you think? Will we see more type of debt forgiveness in the future? That could be remember that for people to have student loans, 43 million Americans, that's the largest stimulus program they're ever going to get, $10,000 to $20,000. For people that got the Paycheck Protection Program, some people got even more than that. That was actually a larger stimulus program that they're ever going to get. Remember, some politicians actually uh, some hypocritical politicians say, don't help the poor people with $10,000 of student loan forgiveness, but they got $1 million of Paycheck Protection Program forgiveness. I digress, right? And then we're going to hopefully see a massive SNAP and food stamp raise here, which could mean for some people $100, $200. I don't know because it depends on the person, right? But it could be a raise every single month. Again, another more money in your pocket is a good thing here. Will we see another stimulus check here as well? You got to really kind of remember that right now with inflation, they're kind of giving out money in different ways. Okay. The whole inflation thing has kind of made them a little weary of using the word stimulus check. If you're looking at all the states here right now, they're using tax rebate checks, they're using property tax rebate checks, they're using student loan forgiveness, SNAP raises. If you're kind of looking here, they're being creative on how to help people with inflation. And because really, it's again not to like pick sides or anything, but Republicans don't want to vote for stimulus checks. They didn't want to vote for the third one. I don't know if they're going to vote for the next one. Right now, it doesn't look like they want to. Democrats could pass it to executive order or through a reconciliation package. Those are definitely two things that could happen. But right now, Republicans won't vote for a stimulus check. So we do still have two possibilities for it to happen through reconciliation or through executive order. Definitely two possibilities that could happen. Executive order could happen. I always get a few comments of people saying, executive order can't happen, Jimmy. They can't appropriate executive order because Congress has to pass the money. I always get a few comments there. And the caveat there is that with already approved money, they can because there's 600 to 800 billion dollars of already approved stimulus money that's left over, that's unspent. Okay, that's exactly how former President Donald Trump did his executive order back in 2020 and sent out the unemployment bonus checks, stimulus checks, whatever you want to call them. He used the disaster relief fund money, which was already approved money by Congress, and the executive order just reallocated it so he could send it out to whoever he wanted. Okay. So if Trump can do it, Biden can do it. Back then I said that the Democrats could have challenged Trump's executive order, but I said it would be a bad move by the Democrats to do that because A, it was right before election. Those millions of people wouldn't like it. They could vote against them. But not only that, the real heart of the matter is that I said, why would you want to hurt people who just lost their jobs and need that money, which is the real thing that matters, right? Ultimately votes don't really matter in the whole scheme of things. What really matters is people's lives, right? That's what really matters in life. So when we look at here, ultimately to $10,000 to $20,000 of wiping out people's student loan debt for 20 million Americans. I read a survey here that for people that have student loans is it 50 it's like 57% or something like that said it was their number one financial worry because they had been paying on it for years and years and years and years and couldn't pay it off. We've seen so many countless stories of people that said that they have paid more money. Some people said that they paid more money in interest than the loan actually was. And I think that the government is getting creative with a bunch of different ways on how to give money back to people in different programs like the student loan forgiveness, SNAP raises, 30 to 32 different states giving money back to people, and tax rebate checks, property tax rebate checks, state stimulus checks, inflation relief checks. California's got $1,050 check coming out. Alaska just sent out a $3,200 check. Maine had a $850 check and a double that for $1,700 if you're a married couple. Don't even ask me to remember all the states are off the top of my head. But Georgia has this $350 check going out to over 3 million people right now, which is the lowest income people, actually. I know a lot of people are having a difficulty trying to access the money on that, which is kind of a fiasco. I did cover that in the previous video or two. with a little bit of kind of helpful information on that. You could check that out. But so those are kind of the ways that it could be passed here. And after the election, we'll have to see what can happen because the president's still going to be Democrat one way or another. Um, you know, a lot of people don't realize. I always see people saying, "Oh, we need a new president." If the Republicans come in, they could impeach Biden, and then what people don't realize is that even if they impeached Biden, then Kamala Harris would become president. Okay, the Republicans don't just get to throw a Republican president in there. That's not how it works. Just so everybody's on the same page there. But so yeah, we'll have to see what happens here. We do have the SNAP program coming out here. I'll link you to that video here. Really big news here coming out on that. So let me know your thoughts here on this. This is kind of the latest update here. We really got a lot of things coming out here this week. As we gear up towards the elections, I think that we're going to see as much done as they can before the election. We also have to avert a massive government shutdown here by the end of this month, September 30th. And if we don't do that, then we could be in a bit of a pickle because millions of people will lose their jobs if we go into a government shutdown temporarily, which is not a good thing. That puts a delay on everything, which is not a good thing. Remember that the SNAP food stamp conference is right here at the end of this month. Yeah, so we never want to see that happen because there's millions of people that go to the jobs depend on this. And I'll have to keep you up to date here on all this here. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But what do you think? What do you think? And then what do you think is going to happen after the election? So a lot of people think Republicans are going to take over the House or the Senate. Democrats think they're going to retain the House or the Senate. A lot of different things here to consider. And then afterwards, it's really a free for all. Remember that there's hundreds of billions of dollars of stimulus money that is approved and is just sitting there and could be reallocated to be used for anything. It could be used for a stimulus check. It could be used for SNAP money. It could be used for debt forgiveness. It could be, they have to use it one way or another. It's just sitting there and they have to do something with it at some point. It's not like they're going to just burn it. They're going to use it for something. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? So I'll keep you up to date here with everything. I'll link you to some other videos you should watch next of things that are coming up here in a few days here. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. Just click the subscribe button, then the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live with new videos. Remember that new videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will keep you up to date here. You can click this video here to see the big announcement coming out here on September 28th. That's going to be a really big one. And here is my latest video about Social Security raises and payment dates. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.